just following like Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera and all the guys from like the 2000s.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Derek Jeter had a great broadcast career now anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. We're not here to talk baseball, though. We're here to talk Pride and your healing journey.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about who Christian Alvarado is and how you came to be a life redesign coach.
Yeah, so with me, I come from very humble beginnings. I struggled a lot as a child. Back in elementary school, I remember just, experiencing a lot of bullying, and I knew I was already, a gay person back since childhood, and I would get made fun of. My voice would get made fun of. I would just get, constantly bullied and shamed for just being myself. And on top of that, I struggled as well with my parents. This comes from like a Latino culture. Our parents didn't have any kind of mental health outlets or ways to cope with their trauma. So my parents were emotionally unavailable for me. So a lot of the things that I went through, I had a hard time speaking up and, expressing to them what was going on. And on top of that, I also experienced sexual abuse as a child, which I know a lot of gay individuals experience what I went through, the sexual abuse, the bullying, and just the struggle of coming out as who you truly are. So a lot of that led to emotional suppression, not me having a hard time asking for help, whether that was with my parents, my teachers, authority figures, and that led me to severe illness and just chronic fatigue with my body growing up as a early adult. I remember I experienced my first panic attack when I was about 26 years old, and I was just carrying so much heaviness and weight in my body, and I didn't know what it was. I thought I was just experiencing just some kind of illness, and I would check myself into the doctor and into the ER as well, at least twice a week, because I didn't know what was going on. And
you knew something was wrong.
I knew something was
wrong. Your body was trying to tell you.
Exactly,
right.
and that's just why I checked myself in. But every time I would go into the hospital, everything would come out normal.
Yeah, they tell
so
you
that
you're fine.
that made me go even crazier, because I'm like, well, I did everything I'm supposed to on the books. I went to the doctor. Nothing's coming back. So what is wrong with me? And that's when I discovered that doing somatic breath work, which is something that I teach with my community, and something I speak about on my social media platforms as well. With that allowed me to get into my body and just be still and do breathing exercises where ultimately you're just breathing deep and into your body, and that's just when a lot of things start surfacing, things from the past. So somatic therapy is intended for you to get into the body and just release any kind of suppressed emotions, any kind of pain, resentment, heartbreak, like all of that started surfacing. So me thinking that I had an illness, it was really just emotional heartbreak. It was suppressed emotions that I didn't allow myself to feel, and that's what was causing the panic disorder, the suicidal thoughts, and the constant numbing as well. I got addicted to drugs and alcohol at a really young age. I started drinking since I was 14 years old, and that just led me to suppression. So growing up gay, I just thought my life was all about partying, about hooking up, about trying to look my best and just have like a chiseled body, because that's just what you see in the gay community a lot. And after, just doing the deep inner work and the emotional release, that's when I truly started finding myself. And I realized, like, okay, you know what? Like, I don't need the drugs and alcohol anymore. I don't need the hookups or the applications anymore, because I finally was able to heal my heart, and I understood who I was and what my purpose is to do on this earth.
Well, thank you for sharing all those vulnerabilities, and the fact that you literally ultimately did this. You healed yourself on your own.
Yes.
That just speaks to what a strong individual you are.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was hard.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I didn't necessarily do it alone. I hired mentors and coaches. and other healers to help me guide me through this process.
But there's so many people who just stay stuck.
Exactly.
And you know, because they don't know.
Right.
In a lot of cases, and if you are addicted, I mean, addiction is real, and that is so hard to become unaddicted.
100%. Yeah, and that's why I built my program based off just like my journey, because I had to outsource and go through different mentors and coaches to get to where I'm at. So everything that I learned, I built it into my coaching program, where I help gay men find themselves and just, you know, honor where they're at in life, and just, you know, really just heal their wounds, because based on everything that I explained earlier with the bullying, sexual abuse, being made fun of, not being able to come out who you truly are, all of that stays in our body. You know, that doesn't, a lot of people think because you ignore your emotions, they tend to go away magically. That's not true. Our bodies are energetic fields, and our fascia, our tissues, our cells, our organs hold on to that energy until you give yourself permission to release it.
Wow.
And that's when you start getting all the answers and the guidance in your life, because you made space in your body to release all of that. Now you start getting the downloads and the clarity on your next moves.
So because of social media, and you can reach a lot more people that way, you are using social media for good.
Yes.
Right? And because, I mean, social media is a great tool in that
Right.
it helps us be social and connects us, but it can also cause a whole lot of loneliness for a lot of people. And there's the comparison issue and everything else,
Right.
right? But you've chosen to use social media for an amazing opportunity for other people to get help and heal them. And so here is your profile on Instagram, right?
Yes, that is it. Yeah. So, you know, if anyone is going through any kind of things that I just named, which I know a lot of gay men are struggling with what I just talked about,
Sure.
you know, follow my page. I have a lot of great free resources. Just scroll on through. I have practices. I also do have my free gay men's group that I coach every 6 weeks, and it's called Outgrowing the Old You. And this is where we meet, and I do things like meditations, breath work, workshops, inner work, and this is where, you know, we just take a deep dive and see like where you're at in your life and how you can just, you know, outgrow the old self and, you know, really follow like what your heart is telling you to do.
How has this journey been for you digitally, meaning you've obviously impacted so many people already.
Yeah.
And when you get the feedback and you're helping somebody and you can see yourself in that person, how has that made you feel?
It's made me feel honestly incredible, because this is exactly what I needed back in the day when I was going through these hardships. And this is like what ultimately drives me and just gives me energy to keep going, is getting that feedback, getting those positive comments. But, you know, I do also struggle with comments that aren't so good. And, you know, it's okay. I welcome everything, because sometimes, you know, people aren't in that stage of life. You know, I'm doing something completely new in the gay community. And this is foreign to a lot of gay men. You know, they think that their life is just all about partying and drugs and hooking up. But I'm showing a different way of living. So I also do get a lot of mostly good feedback, but there is some negativity to it.
There's always that negativity out there. So good for you to, you know, do your best to push that aside and just embrace the positivity that you're creating.
Yes.
When you say this is new in the gay community, what specifically do you mean?
I just feel like it's not really talked about as much. You know, we go to pride festivals and just like, you know, other gay events, and a lot of it has to do, there's just like dancing, partying, you know, parades, which is all beautiful. You know, I feel like that is needed, but I feel like what also is needed is just more awareness with like mental health, like therapy, coaches, mentors, healers, to show, you know, other gay men like, hey, you know, we don't have to carry everything that's going on internally in our hearts, because a lot of us end up numbing that, and that ultimately should be brought to the surface, because we have external freedom now with pride. You know, it's legal, and you know, a lot of gay men went through so much in the past when it wasn't. And my gift here is to free them emotionally, free their hearts from the pain that they're carrying.
If someone's watching right now who is feeling stuck and they feel like you once felt, what would you say to them? What's the number one step that they should take first?
Yeah, the number one step I would say is ask for support, ask for help. You know, there's a lot of humans in this world, And I'm a believer of God also. So I believe God has made so many humans for us to commune with each other and to ask for help and support and to ultimately make this world a better place. And that's going to help someone's life change a lot, is by just asking support and just being vulnerable. Vulnerability is a superpower. Being able to really express like what's underneath the surface can go such a long way, because we think that us as humans, we think we have to carry things alone, but that is not true. There is so much help and support out there, and I encourage whoever is going through something like this, ask for help from a family member, a coworker, a friend, someone that you trust, and then that will ultimately start having you build that trust that, hey, you know what, asking for support and help is okay, because a lot of us think we have to do things alone, like I mentioned.
And you don't. No, absolutely
No.
not. What does pride mean to you?
Pride to me just means being able to be who you are and just being able to express yourself freely. Because, in the past, people were prosecuted, they were arrested, they were killed for just being human, being gay. And to me, just pride means freedom, just showing your true colors.
What message do you want people watching at home right now to take away from this conversation?
Just express yourself, who you truly are, be vulnerable, and it's okay to get emotional. I feel like emotions get pushed down, especially with me being Latino and in the Latino culture. And I know there's other cultures that struggle with this, but emotions aren't welcomed. But I encourage everyone to express emotions, whether it's the good, the bad, or the ugly. We're human beings, and we come with a set of a spectrum of emotions, and it is all welcomed.
I love that, because you and I, we'd be really good friends. I express myself, and I always see what's on my mind all the time, and my feelings, my emotional
That's good.
being. I just can't help it. It's just part of me.
That's beautiful. You see, and I'm glad that you do that, because a lot of other people do struggle with just, letting someone know, like, hey, I'm feeling down or I'm feeling sad. And I always say, like, hey, if we can be happy and, show good energy around anyone, like, why can't we show the downside?
Right.
Like, I feel like that's why babies and kids regulate themselves so naturally, because they have, like, something bad happens to them, they get hurt, they cry, they don't care who's there,
Right.
and then they're going on to the next thing because they were able to express themselves. That's how adults should be too, because it's a human thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a 14-month-old. We have a 14-month-old baby, and so it just to watch. It's my first time as a mom, so to watch a little human grow to exactly your point.
Yeah.
1 minute she's crying, and then she's fine the next second, and I think, well, I want to cry too, but you're not supposed to, right? In this setting,
right?
Supposed to, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah. So with that, this would be my social media platform on Instagram. And I'm also on TikTok. So yeah, it's the same username there. It's Christian_AALVARADO.
Gotcha. I'm logging on to your account right now.
Amazing.
Is it this one? Here I am.
Oh, no, I don't see it.
Alvarado. What did I do wrong?
It's Christian with no H and then underscore.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's on the screen.
Oh, yeah, it's right there. But I don't know why I'm not. It's like my first time logging on to Instagram. I'm kidding. I'm being facetious. Alvarado. I don't know why it's not coming up for me.
Are you putting 2 A's?
No.
Put 2 A's on the last name.
Oh.
I think that's what it is.
Oh, because you have the double A?
Yes, on my last
why.
name. Yeah, Christian_AA Alvarado. Yeah.
Got it. I got it. There we go.
There you go. Yes.
Okay.
That's me right there.
You just got to follow. There we go. So, coaching gay men into self-love, healing, and purpose. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marla.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Keeping it casual here on the Fox Local Stream. I love to have these deep conversations. I appreciate you, Christian.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your healing, and may you continue to heal and bring more people along on your journey.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Oh. Well, that was a really inspiring conversation. It is Pride Month after all, so we thank Christian for all of his vulnerabilities and sharing his story and the work that he does. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on the Fox Local Stream. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fox Local Stream. It is 2:52 in Los Angeles. We thank you for hopping on. I'm Marla Tejas in the studios of Fox 11. Let's take you down the street. This is in Inglewood. This is a live look at SoFi Stadium, which will be renamed Los Angeles Stadium during the FIFA World Cup that kicks off here on Friday. USA men's versus Paraguay. That is happening here at Los Angeles Stadium on Friday. In the meantime, there are those negotiations underway because SoFi Stadium workers overwhelmingly on Friday voted to authorize a strike. They want higher pay, security on the job, protections against subcontracting, and other potential threats to the erosion of union jobs. This is the union that represents the cashiers, the concession workers, the bartenders, the dishwashers, the cooks, the food attendants. 96% voted to authorize a strike. So those negotiations are underway still. You can imagine, or it'd be tough to imagine what it would be like if the World Cup officially starts on Thursday, but for the game on Friday, if in fact workers are on a strike, about 2,000 workers in all. So we're keeping a close watch on those negotiations and we'll update you accordingly. In the meantime, this is really exciting. A group of Long Beach kids, they are going to score big with the tickets to the World Cup, but they don't know. This is a big surprise. Our Christina Gonzalez, she's live to talk about the big surprise. It hasn't happened yet, has it, Christina?
No. Okay, you and I and our viewers are part of a big secret. Let me step out of the way as I tell you, because these are young boys and girls here at the Boys and Girls Club in Long Beach, and they have no clue. They're doing some soccer drills right now. They have no idea they're about to score literally the biggest local soccer game in town. And to explain it all is the man behind the company who's made it all possible. Listen. So how many kids?
It's going to be 20 kids.
20
kids from this community. They're going to find out in a few moments that they're going to the World Cup. They don't know.
They have no idea.
They have no idea. So 20 kids from this community are going go on the freeway a few miles up the road to what's called LA Stadium for the World Cup. The kids were selected because they're outstanding kids. So doing great, amazing grades. So academically they're doing great, but they're also very involved with the community. They're a good example. They lead by example. They showcase a passion for others. So we wanted to really highlight those kids that are doing all the great things, and we're proud of them.
And back here live, these kids have no clue. They actually do these kinds of soccer drills here at the Boys and Girls Club all the time. I should tell you that it's about 20 of them, and they're about to find out. Now, the game they're going to be going to is the Monday game, the Iran versus New Zealand. I'm whispering that because I don't want them to hear anything. I should tell you the company behind this all, California Resources Corporation, is a local company, Energy Carbon Management, and the man you heard speaking, he actually was telling me his story. He is from Mexico, came across the border, studied here. Says he can't believe that he ended up doing what he does for a living now, but he wants to make sure that these kids get the opportunity that he would have really, really loved when he was a young kid and his family couldn't afford something like this, because quite honestly, the tickets are very expensive, as you know. So these kids have been targeted because they are outstanding young people and because there's no other way they would be able to do this. So we are going to stand by. They're going to find out in a little bit in our 5 o'clock. You're going to see it all, and hopefully we'll get to talk to some of these young people, see how they feel about it. But isn't this cool?
Oh, what an assignment. I'm whispering still. I don't know if I need to be whispering. I don't think
You
so,
don't
but-
have to.
Okay, okay. But yeah, they're so adorable and they're so athletically talented behind you, by the way. So wait, does the surprise, does it actually happen during the 5 o'clock, or is it, what's that look
No,
like?
a little bit before.
Okay.
A little bit before. They've actually been very accommodating. After I get off the air with you,
Okay.
they will actually start the ceremony, and then we will get on that on tape and talk to them, and then by 5 o'clock you should be able to hear from them directly. But we'll be here. But yeah, I like this assignment. Thank you to the producers. This is happy, 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 and you know
They're
what?
going to
We
be
all need
besides
happy, happy, happy.
themselves. They're going to be beside
I would be
themselves.
besides myself.
Yeah.
I would be besides myself. Okay, I wanted to, I wanted to be the embedded reporter on this, but no such luck. But I'm so glad. I mean, look at these young people. I mean, can you imagine? It really is, and this is such a great organization. They work with these
they do
kids.
so many.
This Boys and Girls does amazing stuff out here in Long Beach, and the company that's doing this, they do this kind of stuff, but this is big. 20 of these kids. That's it's just really, really, really wonderful. So if you want happiness and joy, join us at 5, and then you'll get to see what happens. Because again, they have no clue. They know the cameras are here. They think it's to talk about how they have soccer programs at the Boys and Girls Club here, but they have no clue.
So are the 20 chosen are those who we're seeing right now? It's just the 20 that are there right now? Okay, so these are all them.
That's right.
And
And their families don't even know. The families don't even know. Nobody knows.
the families don't know
That's why I'm
either?
whispering. No, nobody has a clue.
And so will the parents be there for the reveal?
You know what? Most of them are working. That's why the kids come to the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
But they're going to find out and so forth. We'll see what happens
wow.
when they do the reveal.
That's
but yeah,
amazing.
what a wonderful. It makes it's just such a wonderful opportunity for young people. And these kids work really hard at playing soccer, and some of them are very talented. And you know what I
totally.
really like?
I mean, look
It's
at the
boys and it's
footwork.
girls. Yeah, and you know what? They're boys and girls, and they're from all over. I mean, this is the ethnic mix is there's a little bit of everything going on here. They're kids from all over with families from countries all over the world. So, and hey, it's a Monday game.
Have you been able to talk to any
of
of these kids as of this report, just to
Nope.
get? Okay, you haven't at all.
Not
just
yet.
To get a sense of their.
No, they
their
just
love
got
for
here.
soccer.
They
rolled in.
literally just got here. We'll
Got
do
it.
that. So they're getting ready to do the reveal. They're getting ready to actually go up there and do this in the next
And is there a
half
reason
hour.
why
So
we can't stick with this live? When
if
it
you,
happens?
I don't know if you can stay for it live. We're going to have to walk over there closer. You know
Is
what?
this
We
it?
can try to walk over there. Bear with us. Hang on. We're
Yeah,
going to
no,
unhook
that's what
and,
it's
and
all
we're going
about.
to. This is going to get bumpy.
Oh, it's
Let's
great.
all go. This is live television. I love the streaming show because of this. I'm going to stick my microphone in front of all these people. And let's go here on the right so we can get these kids' faces when they hear this. Let's see. Come on. Let's go.
In sponsors of our Youth of the Year program, we got Francisco Leon from the CEO.
There's going to be some speeches before, probably. So it's up to you if you stay with
Well,
us.
let's
But
just see.
hey, this should be fun.
I grew up playing a little bit of soccer. I don't think I'm anywhere as good as you guys are. I think the coach is doing an amazing job. What's your name, Coach?
Coach Reef.
Coach Reef. So it's great. I love soccer. Who are the favorite players? I mean, who do you guys like? Are there any?
Like Pele.
Pele. Okay, so back in the old-time great. Yeah. Mbappe. Okay. France. Yeah. Megan Rapinoe, U.S. woman. Okay. Ronaldo. Which Ronaldo? Cristiano or okay, not the Brazilian one. Okay. Also another back. Man, these are kids that know their soccer. These are some of the. Okay, Ronaldo. Well, no one said Messi. That's surprising. Because every kid says Messi. So who's that? Oh. So, oh yeah, I did hear that. Okay, so I grew up playing soccer. I was born in Mexico, and so I think you all have heard about the World Cup coming to U.S., Mexico, and Canada. So I grew up playing sport, and I'm now the CEO of an energy company. And so I have 2,000 employees that work in our team at CRC. We are exclusively here. We're only in California, so we're at headquarters, where the main office for our company is here in Long Beach. So we're a Long Beach company, and we're excited every time we get to meet people in our community. It's really important to me, especially the Boys and Girls Club. When I grew up, so I think about this, right? So I was born in Mexico, and I commuted. I came to the U.S. to go to school. And when I first got to the U.S., I was in 6th grade, so some of your kids are about 10, 11. And in Mexico, you don't have the concept of a Boys and Girls Club. It doesn't exist, right? So when I came to the U.S., and our school didn't have great facilities, but then I would go to after school, something that looked like this, right? So I'm reminded of my time when I was about your age, so how impactful that Boys and Girls Club was to me growing up. And that's where you all are, right? You're all trying to figure out what you want to do when you grow up. But one of the things that I really like hearing about all of you is that who are the kids that are truly being an example amongst all of the group. Kids are taking care of grades, focus on school, focus on giving back to the community. And you were all hand-selected as being that group that represents the Boys and Girls Club of Long Beach in a really good way. So first I want to say we're proud of you. Keep up the amazing work. It really is noticeable when someone your age is already thinking about doing things that are not just great for yourself, but for others around you. And we said, you know, what could be a better thing to do than to reward these amazing kids, teenagers, to keep up the great work and think about a world of where there's endless possibilities. You can be a CEO, you can be a doctor, you can be an engineer. All it takes is hard work. So we've said, okay, who are the great soccer players here? Who are the kids that are doing an amazing job? And so we came here not just to say, hey, not just to say we're proud of you, because we are, but we came with a surprise. And that surprise is to tell you that I'm very, very happy to tell you that all of you are going to an actual game at the World Cup, going to SoFi Stadium for a game a week from now. We're going to take you to the max. You're going to get to see the best players in the world perform and play the game. And that's going to be our recognition for all the amazing work that you're doing. You're all going to the World Cup, so congratulations. So this is cool for all of us adults and everybody. World Cup doesn't come to the U.S. very often, but you're going to be able to get into the stadium. This is where the Rams and the Chargers play. It's going to be full. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. Flags are going to fly. Going to be out there everywhere, and you get to watch the best players based on the world. So hope you have a great time. Look forward to seeing pictures, videos, and enjoy. Keep up the really good work.
For bringing you guys to the games. We have another special guest here. We have Councilwoman Duggan that would like to say a few words.
I do. How exciting is this? You get to go to FIFA. I can't believe
that you all get to participate right now. I saw your moves. Mr. Leon is probably better at noticing the moves from soccer, but what I notice is the fact that you're athletes. You all were chosen to participate, to be able to go see soccer because of your hard work. The things that you do that extra work, you're probably doing your homework. You're practicing every day in your sport. You're listening to what your coaches are saying. You're here at Boys and Girls Club, and I'm just so happy that this opportunity has come for you. Athletics is so important for you as youth. I want to make sure to continue to support the Boys and Girls Club, and I hope that you enjoy your time next week at the game. So thank you for allowing me to be here. And just so you know, I work for the City of Long Beach. I'm one of 9 council members, and what we do is we work to make sure that we can support things, kids like you, programs like the Boys and Girls Club. So appreciative of CRC. So thank you very much.
I'm clapping for them. I'm clapping for them in studio. It was so fun to see the looks of surprise and jubilation when they just found out these 20 kids are going to the World Cup. They get to go to next Monday's game at Los Angeles Stadium, also known as SoFi. They just learned of this news, all thanks to a local company who donated their funds to send these exemplary students from the Boys and Girls Club in Long Beach to the World Cup next Monday. What a moment for them. And our Christina Gonzalez was there to take it all in live for us here on the Fox Local stream. All right, our coverage will continue here in 2 minutes. We'll see you then. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? I love seeing those kids in Long Beach get the surprise, probably of their lives, that they're going to the World Cup next Monday. Thanks for the company that extended their finances and allowing those kids to go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fox Local stream. I'm Marla Tejas in Los Angeles at Fox 11. There's been a lot of headlines surrounding GLP-1s like Ozempic of late. Ozempic has been a groundbreaking drug to lose weight, but scientists are now warning of a potential side effect to your brain. Joining me now is Dr. Lorenzo Leggio. I want to make sure I got that right. He is clinical director and deputy scientific director at the National Institutes of Health's National Institute on Drug Abuse. Doctor, good to have you. Thank you so much for being here. This is an important conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Let's just start with how is Ozempic changing the brain? Is it? There are studies that show that it is, and if so, how so?
Right. There is actually growing evidence from neuroscience that these medications may also have a beneficial effect in the brain. And in particular, what we are studying is in the context of addiction. So there are studies from preclinical for rodent models, but also studies looking at electronic health records. And finally, initial double-blind placebo-controlled trials that suggest that these medications lead to a reduction in alcohol drinking, in smoking, in the use of other addictive drugs such as opioids, cocaine, and even cannabis.
That is huge news. I mean, this is absolutely changing for the addiction community.
Correct. It is. You're absolutely right. So, in a sense, again, we need more evidence. We need the larger double-blind placebo-controlled trials to make sure that what we see so far is, in fact, evidence-based. But what we see so far is very promising and has the potential to be a revolution in addiction medicine at the multiple levels.
Okay, do we already have effective medications for addiction?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do. So we have, first of all, behavior treatments, which are effective to help people with addiction. We also have a few FDA-approved medications for opioid use disorder, for alcohol use disorder, and for tobacco use disorder. So your question may be, why do we need more? Well, we do need more for at least two reasons. First, the number of medications we have in clinical practice is very low. If you think addiction as a chronic disease, and we compare addiction to, for example, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, etc., the number of medications we have is very small. So we need more. But also the medications we have work well for some patients, but not for other patients. So we need more medications in order to reach out more people with addiction who may respond to these medications.
Do these specifically in these findings so far, what we know, do these medications appear to target the underlying mechanism of addiction itself, or do they primarily affect the physiological consequences of addictive substances such as alcohol and opioids?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say both. So we do know from neuroscience, also from neuroimaging studies, that these medications seem to work directly in the brain, in those neurocircuitry, in those mechanisms responsible for addiction. So the beneficial effect seems to be direct. However, at the same time, they also have a peripheral effects, which may also be beneficial for our body. I will give an example. Alcohol is the leading cause of liver cirrhosis and the leading indication for liver transplantation here in the States. And there is a potential for these medications to help people with the alcohol addiction, but also to improve in the body, to improve the liver function and to reduce the inflammation in the liver.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the domino effect, right?
Right. Or I would say killing two birds with one stone, where these medications may help our patients both on the addiction per se, but also in improving some of the medical consequence of addiction. Because I think it's important for everybody to know that when we talk about alcohol and other substance use disorders, these are leading causes of mortality and morbidity. As you and I are talking right now, people have already died in a few minutes because of opioid overdose, because of alcohol intoxication, etc.
What is next in these studies? How far away are we from being able to say Ozempic should be prescribed to help somebody who is an alcoholic?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, like I said, we do have initial double-blind placebo-controlled trials that do suggest the efficacy of these medications. That's what we call technically phase 2 clinical trials. We do need the larger clinical trials, what we will call phase 3 clinical trials. And the good news is that these clinical trials are ongoing, not only for alcohol, but also for tobacco and for opioids and for stimulants. So we need to wait for the results of these larger clinical trials to hopefully see a confirmation of the efficacy of these medications. And at the same time, some of the work, for example, we are doing at the NIH, but also in academia, is to also understand who may be the responders to these medications. Because our hope is that these medications work, help people with addiction, and the promise is strong. However, we also know that just like any other medication, if they work, they're not going to work for everybody. So it's going to be important to understand who are the responders to these medications.
Would it also work though? How does this work? If Ozempic right now is prescribed for weight loss and diabetes, if the patient who is addicted to alcohol takes it and they are overweight, would it work for both instances or for uses then? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then what if
Right.
the alcoholic who would be taking Ozempic doesn't need to lose weight?
Right. These are wonderful questions. So on your first question, I would say that, obesity represents 40% of the US population. And addiction, including alcohol addiction, is also very common. So yes, we do often see patients with both alcohol use disorder and obesity. And there is a potential for these medications to help both conditions. In fact, the most recent trial published in Lancet from Copenhagen does show that the people did lose weight and at the same time, they cut dramatically their drinking. But then your second question is also critical. What happens for people who don't need to lose weight? And I think this is one area of research where we are actually studying to understand, for example, if lower doses of these medications may be still effective for the addiction while at the same time minimizing the weight loss. So it's kind of work in progress and a great question.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. And then at this point in time, do we know what are the long-term consequences, if any, for Ozempic just yet as a drug or as a weight loss drug?
Yeah. These medications have been in the market for a relatively short period of time. So we know a lot about their safety. We know, for example, that they typically do not lead to worsening of your mood. They are not associated with the increase in risk of a suicide. And so overall, their profile is very safe. But you are correct that in a way, these medications have not been in the market for decades. So we just don't know whether there are some potential longer-term consequence of these medications. So that's also an open question. But there is no question that in terms of the role of these medications for diabetes and obesity, they represent a revolution in medicine, and they have the potential to improve life expectancy by improving the metabolic and cardiovascular conditions associated with diabetes and with obesity. That said, again, I want to emphasize your point that there is still some unknown of what may be the longer-term consequence. It will be important for all of us to stay vigilant to see what happens in years to come on people who are taking these medications chronically.
It's amazing to think, though, if Ozempic helps with the addiction, with obesity, and then diabetes, this is like a miracle drug, one drug to be able to treat such common, what word am I looking for here?
Medical
issues.
conditions
Medical
and public
conditions.
health issues.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You are absolutely correct. I would say, in fact, I'm glad you are pointing that out because addiction is a leading cause of mortality and morbidity. The thousands and thousands of people who die in our society because of addiction is just dramatic. Now, I also want to say we don't believe that the one single medication is going to be curing everything, but these medications are in fact quite remarkable in terms of efficacy for diabetes, for obesity, hopefully for addiction as well. And they may be particularly critical at two levels. One, they may be a bridge helping people, for example, to reduce or cut completely their drinking, their drug use, and then to help people with their healthcare providers to move it to other treatments, for example, behavior treatments, which are also very effective. And the second is that above and beyond these medications, now we are talking more about addiction. Clinicians are more sensitive to the importance of treating addiction, and people are seeking treatment for addiction. What does it mean? It does mean that finally we are starting to see a destigmatization of addiction. Finally, we start to see that addiction is not a bad behavior. It's not a moral failure exactly. It's a chronic disease, just like depression, Parkinson, diabetes, hypertension, etc.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sell me on that one. Addiction is in my family, and I know it's not an issue of willpower. A lot of people think, why can't this person just stop? If you think of it like a disease, it helps you reframe your thought process there. Yeah. Let me ask you this. GLP-1 is an umbrella term, correct me if I'm wrong, for Ozempic. Mounjaro is another one. I know that there's others on the market like it. So is a Mounjaro also being looked at to help the issue of addiction, or is it just Ozempic? And if it's just Ozempic, then why is it just Ozempic and not another GLP-1?
You are correct. So it's not just Ozempic. So Ozempic is one of the brand names for what we call semaglutide, right? And there are different brand names for semaglutide. Now, compared to the initial GLP-1, technically speaking, we call receptor agonist, semaglutide has been shown to be more potent and more effective in the context of addiction. But now, what you mentioned as a Mounjaro, which is one of the brand names for tirzepatide, that's also another GLP-1 therapy that has been investigated in the context of addiction. And technically speaking, without going too much detail, tirzepatide is a combination of two hormones, GLP-1 and GIP. So not only we are not limiting our work on semaglutide, which many people refer as Ozempic, but actually we are quite interested in expanding the science around this broader umbrella of GLP-1 therapies, including combination of multiple hormones, such as a GLP-1 and GIP, which is a tirzepatide. And that's an example of a potentially even better GLP-1 therapy, because the addition of this second hormone called the GIP makes some of the very common side effects like nausea, vomiting less likely to happen. So these newer drugs may be equally potent as the original semaglutide, but at the same time, their pharmacological profile may be better in terms of tolerability, which means that the patients may be more likely to stay on these medications.
Where are you based, by the way?
I'm in Maryland. I'm at the National Institute of Health.
Okay, you're at the National Institute of Health. All right. Well, you've been a wealth of health information here on the Fox Local Stream. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think we covered everything. I want to thank you and your team for highlighting this very important topic, and thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure to talk to you, Dr. Lorenzo Leggio. Did I get it right?
Yep, Leggio.
Okay, Dr. Lorenzo Leggio, Clinical Director, National Institute on Drug Abuse. Is that right? That's
correct.
Yep. Okay, I just want to make
sure. It's part
of
the National Institute of Health.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, well, let's have you back. I enjoyed you, and I appreciate how you break it down into layman's terms so we can all digest the information together, if you will.
Anytime. Happy to be back anytime. Again, thanks for having me.
Okay, have a great night. And we'll be back on the Fox Local Stream in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fox Local Stream. I'm Marla Tejas in Los Angeles at Fox 11. Dozens of vehicles have been impounded after authorities cracked down on trespassing in the LA River bed right near San Fernando Road. Police say members of the Street Racing Task Force issued multiple citations, and they towed 72 vehicles from this area just last night, Sunday night. Fox Local's Andres Gutierrez, he's in downtown LA with the latest there. Where are you? It looks like you're at an impound yard.
I am at the impound lot because this all ended up starting with an online flyer that was circulating online that was billed as an LA River photo shoot. Instead, it ended up with cops writing tickets and 72 vehicles getting towed to this lot nearby. And some of the owners right now in line waiting to recover those vehicles. Let's tell you more about this flyer that was circulating online. It was promoting them to meet up at a Home Depot here on North Figueroa Sunday afternoon, and then it would be followed by a content shoot over on the LA Riverbed. It was set to happen yesterday between 4 and 5 o'clock, promised the great views, bonding with the car community here in Los Angeles. All kinds of car builds were welcomed, and then that meetup ended up going from the Home Depot into the riverbed itself. There is no video of it, but there is really striking video, though. It will show you here at 5 and 6 o'clock from our chopper, Sky Fox, that flew over it, where you had these souped-up cars all lined up along the riverbed. And they were essentially then put in a single line as the cops showing up, saying that they were trespassing. The folks out here tell me that there are small trespassing signs, but they're not big enough that wouldn't have told them that they were breaking the law. So the LAPD says that the task force showed up around 6:30. They ended up issuing the tickets. Those 72 vehicles were brought out here to the impound lot. Some people were seen in cuffs. They didn't say anything about arrest, but the whole thing is that whenever there are meetups like this, they do get worried that they will get out of hand and perhaps create dangerous situations, and so they want to get ahead of it and crack down when they can bring in the task force. But again, no one ended up getting hurt yesterday. Now a lot of them now dealing with the painful and very expensive lesson that they should never go down to the LA riverbed to take photos of their very nice vehicles. Marla.
Okay, so I was just following along intently there in your storytelling, Andres. So just to be clear, this circulated online. Is that how police got privy to it?
That is likely what happened here. That's what folks out here were telling me, is that they were out there for about an hour. Many of them were just actually taking photos of their vehicles, but then there were, according to one person, about 4 to 5 drivers who started then doing donuts on the riverbed, and that may have also captured the attention of police, who ended up showing up with the task force and starting to do this particular operation.
Okay, so the people behind you then, their vehicles were impounded. They look so happy. Like are they upset by it? How are they feeling?
I think they're all telling stories here. So Alexander, you had your motorcycle taken away. Walk me through what happened to you yesterday.
I mean, I was the only motorcycle guy that got towed from everyone. Literally, everyone else was scared to go down there. So, I mean, I was the only one that had the guts to go down there. People were slipping and falling and everything. But hopefully they let me pick it out. They're trying to make it a big deal. They're really bad. This tow place is terrible. They're terrible. 2 stars. Terrible, terrible. They're not working with everyone. They're making it worse. So, I mean, we're all struggling. We're going to see what happens. That's all we know.
You were saying about 4 to 5 drivers were the bad apples in all this, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5. But, I mean, everyone else was good, so.
You guys are in good spirits for what happened, and you guys are going to have to pay hundreds of dollars to get out of here. How do you get in these kinds of spirits?
I mean, it was a great night. We're all in this together, so I mean, that's all that matters. We're all doing it together, so we're all helping each other out. So,
how often have you gone to these meets, and have they ever ended like this?
Never. This is the first time that it has. I have been into one midnight. They did do some pretty bad meets, and they towed over there in Newport. But never like this. So supposedly they're posting that we had a permit, so it's going to be a class action lawsuit for sure, because they trespassed everyone without giving a warning, and they're lying to people that they're saying that they gave us warnings. They're putting takeovers on our tickets when we weren't doing anything like that.
And you guys have a big issue with the trespassing sign, that it's not large enough, that you guys were perhaps wishing that there would be some barriers there preventing you from getting to the riverbed?
It's not readable. I mean, there's no gates closed or anything. It's wide open. You could walk down there like nothing. You could bring your car in there. You could bring your bikes. It's an easy accessible. The sign's like a piece of paper. It's tinier than this sign. So.
What do you want, folks? You're now live on television out here. So what do you want folks watching this right now to know about your situation?
I mean, we're all struggling. We're all not bad people. We're just teenagers. We're living our lives. We're trying to have fun. That's all. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. So they're out here trying to have fun. Ended up being a costly lesson for them. We'll have much more coming up, Marla, and a report coming up at 5 and 6 o'clock here on Channel 11. But for now, we'll send it back to you, Marla.
Yeah, well, you got me with your tease of the chopper images of all those vehicles in the riverbed and being impounded. So look forward to seeing that a little bit later on the Fox 11 News, beginning at 5 o'clock with Andres Gutierrez. Thank you, Andres. And we'll be back here on the stream in 2 minutes. It is 3:35, and we welcome you back to the Fox Local Stream. I'm Marla Tejas at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. One of the big stories that we've been following really since the fires broke out in January of 2025, the wildfires, is this story of how did the fires start? Well, jury selection began this morning in a downtown LA courtroom for the man accused of sparking the Pacific Palisades fire. Let's go out to Fox Local's Christy Fajardo live. Where are you right now, Christy?
Well, we're actually in the Palisades, and the reason I'm here is because no cameras are being allowed into the federal courtroom, but also I wanted to show you, it has been a year and a half since the Palisades fire devastated this community. You can see some people are in the process of rebuilding, and others, though, haven't even started and may never rebuild. It has also taken that long for the trial to go forward, and jury deliberations, or rather jury selection, did start today. Again, we were not allowed inside, but a prospective juror who was dismissed told us they're screening about 100 people and not telling them what the trial is about. But I want to show you who is at the center of this trial. It is 30-year-old Jonathan Rinderneck. He has pleaded not guilty to charges related to an arson fire on New Year's Eve, right before the big fire on January 7th. Prosecutors say it smoldered for a week and then sparked up again in hurricane-force winds, ballooning into the deadly Palisades fire, which killed 12 people and destroyed thousands of homes. The U.S. Attorney's Office is expected to argue that Rinderneck, an Uber driver who had lived in the area, hated the rich and was inspired by Luigi Mangione, who is facing murder charges in the death of a United Healthcare CEO. In court documents, Rinderneck's defense attorney called the charges false and the indictment epically weak, saying that there is not, quote, one single shred of evidence that the fire was intentionally started by Rinderneck. Today in the Palisades, survivors are still rebuilding their homes and community, and they tell us they are aware the trial is starting.
Sad. I don't think, obviously this human being needs help and he shouldn't be out there starting fires, but it's not going to make me feel any better about losing my home and losing my photos and my journals, and I'd rather see positive energy going to helping us rebuild.
I mean, there's nothing that's going to fix the you can't put back what's gone. So, I mean, I'm sure he's going to wind up with some form of a jail sentence, but you can't undo what's done. And, I don't know what to say. What's going to make it better is when our town is back.
And some of the survivors don't reserve their ire solely for Rinderneck. Many of them have questions for city and fire officials and want to know why the original fire, the one 7 days earlier, wasn't more closely watched given the conditions that were in the forecast. And if convicted on all charges, Rinderneck could face 45 years in jail, and the trial is expected to last about 11 days. Marla, back to you.
Okay, obviously it's windy where you are in the Palisades today, and you're giving us sort of a slice of what the rebuild is right now on the particular street that you are. Have you had an opportunity to sort of like go street by street? Are you in the alphabet streets? I presume you are.
I am. I'm actually at Fisk and Cary, and this is what it looks like. But on this block you can see quite a few homes.
Right.
Are in the process of being rebuilt, but that's not true of every lot. If we turn this way, you'll see that there's 4 that haven't started to rebuild, although there's homes under various degrees or levels of construction. And we're seeing a lot of that in the Palisades. But we're also hearing a lot of hope and people telling us that this is very much a tight-knit community, and they do plan to rebuild not only their homes, but also the sense of community that they once had here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're seeing the mail truck go by you in the live report right there just a moment ago. So in other words, people are, living their lives, trying to pick up the pieces, if you will. When you were out there talking to locals, what was it like? I haven't been out there in a while. So in terms of the businesses that are open, I mean, are they getting a lot of foot traction, or is that picking up? What does that look like?
Well, the Garden Cafe was full when we went there, but I was also in the CVS, and there were people in there as well. But, one of the gentlemen that we spoke to that you actually heard from, now he said that he lived right across from where the first fire started. He said he saw it, and then he saw the Palisades fire when it ballooned up, and it was in the exact same spot. But he has not been able to return to the Palisades. He's currently living in the valley. That is what we're hearing from a lot of survivors. But we also spoke to another woman who is not able to move back to her house, the original home that she lived in here in the Palisades. Says she doesn't know if she ever will be able to, but she was able to purchase a home that did survive the fire, so she's back living here now.
And getting back to the actual details of the trial and the case against Rinderneck, am I getting that right? Rinderneck?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
I haven't heard him pronounce it, so I'm not really. Yeah.
Okay. That he was taken into custody, I believe. Wasn't he in Florida at the time?
I'm not really. Yes, I believe that is accurate. Now, his defense attorney, and we do want to stress this, has vehemently fought or has argued that all of this is nonsense, and that's what we expect to hear in the courtroom. Of course, the U.S. attorney thinks that there's a pretty strong case against him, so it should be an interesting trial. People here, though, have mixed feelings about it. Some just want to move on. They don't want to think about it anymore, and others say they will be watching closely.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was getting at, is I've heard, obviously, the defense attorney or their arguments that, how can you prove that it was him who started it, especially that this started on December 31 or January 1 with the Lockman fire, and then the onus would be really on fire officials to have put that out, and then for it to ignite 7 days later, you could never say that that person intended to, or put the blame on him for a fire that reignited almost a week later, right?
Right, and that's what you hear from a lot of the survivors here, that they don't think he is solely responsible for what happened. They have frustration, as I said, also towards city officials. But yes, I mean, that is the case that the U.S. Attorney is going to have to make, and that could be a difficult case to make, so we'll just have to see what evidence they have.
Okay, more to come there. Christy Fajardo, thank you so much. And when we come back on the Fox Local Stream, I'm not going to be here. That's because Adam Kruger, he's taken it over as of the next segment, and he's going to get you caught up in the weather department, I believe. Let me look here. He's going to talk about global warming, World Cup weather, etc. Adam Kruger, our chief meteorologist, he's coming into my purview right now. So he's going to be here when we're back on the stream in 2 minutes. You can come on in. Come on in. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we're talking climate change and World Cup.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we're doing.
I'll see you in a minute.
Yeah.
All right, Adam Kruger here. Welcome back to the Fox Local Stream. We're going to be talking about the World Cup here in a moment and how climate change might affect it. First, though, let's take a live look at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Less than 2 hours, we've got Game 3 of the NBA Finals tip-off at the world's most famous arena. The Knicks have a commanding 2-0 lead over Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. MSG is used to having major celebrities in the building. Tonight, President Trump will be in attendance. He calls himself a major Knicks fan. Security will be beefed up. There's a no-bag policy plus TSA-style security. Folks were also encouraged to show up at least a couple of hours early to ensure they will get to their seats in time. New York City Mayor Mamdani is expected to be there as well. I was talking to a friend of mine at my kids' soccer game this weekend. They were talking about they're from New York and that tickets, according to this person, were like $8,900 for nosebleed and then got as high as like $250,000 if you were sitting a little bit lower. So yeah, lucky for anyone who gets to be at that game. All right, now let's transition from basketball to the World Cup, which of course kicks off in a few days. And a new analysis shows that climate change is boosting the likelihood of performance impairing heat during most of the scheduled matches. So let's bring in meteorologist Shel Winkley from Climate Central. Shel and I go back to our Texas days forecasting weather there. So Shel, before we even get into your findings from Climate Central, tell me and educate some of the people here what Climate Central is.
Yeah. First of all, I think if I can just start with, I didn't know there were so many Knicks fans in the world until
right. They're coming out of the woodworks, right?
Yeah, and now I understand. Yeah, Climate Central, we are a nonprofit, non-advocacy organization. Essentially what we do is we do a lot of science. We do a lot of data. We try to localize that to over 245 US cities. We can do what's called attribution science, which we'll talk more about with this report around the World Cup. But that can give us an understanding of how climate change has put its fingerprints on extreme weather, on excessive temperatures, on the things that we're experiencing today to help us understand exactly how climate change is literally changing our game, but also just so we can understand and kind of mitigate against this heat that we're adding as humans.
Okay, so let's get into, World Cup then. So it's a big, exciting week. We've got the World Cup matches starting Thursday in Mexico, but then USA has their first game right here in LA on Friday, and of course it goes on from there. So your report, it's called Off Your Game, How Climate Change Could Slow Down the 2026 World Cup. And obviously, every game is going to be dependent on what the exact weather is at that time. But just in general, we know climate change is heating things up. And so tell me about your findings. And then I also want to get into, you guys, there's like a specific temperature, right, where you get above that and player performance really gets affected.
Yeah, so that specific temperature through research in, coming from Texas, or if you're from a hot area, this may sound really low, but 82.4 degrees Fahrenheit is that temperature. And what we know from that is that once you meet that temperature or cross that temperature, for athletes, especially during a soccer match or running up and down the pitch for hour and a half, 2 hours or so, that is where you can start to see player performance go down. So slower matches, if you will. And I think the other thing that was really interesting, at least to me, as we were finding all these and putting it all together, was the core temperature of a player can increase by 2 degrees Fahrenheit during one of these matches. Adam, if your temperature goes up 2 degrees, you're going to be on the couch. You're going to call in sick from work, and you're not going to feel well. So that's what we wanted to look at, right? So we got 104 matches that are slated. We know that 97 of those matches are more likely to see this performance impairing heat due to climate change. So again, crossing that threshold of 82.4 degrees. On average, across all the matches, about 8 percentage points can be added because of climate change. But we know that at least 49 matches, again, out of 104, so almost half of our matches have at least a 50% likelihood of performance impairing heat. So essentially what we did is we looked back to the past. We understood the climate. We know in North America it's hot during June and July, but we were able to use that attribution science and fingerprint how much of this excess heat that is possible for these matches can be linked back to climate change. So with this information, you can go and you can look, what are the odds of this performance impairing heat? And then you can also understand how much more likely it is because of us as humans.
Interesting. Okay, and so I was also looking at your report, which very thorough on how it would impact every single match location potentially, and how it would impact every single team. Let's talk about the U.S. Of course. So and their path in the World Cup obviously could change depending on how well they do, and then but you go from there. But we know the first few matches where they are. How, as far as the U.S. team is concerned, are they? I know. Well, let's start here. So their first game is here in L.A. We know we actually happen to have a little bit of a heat wave coming our way this week. It's by LA standards, it's a heat wave anyway, so it'll be a little warmer than normal for this Friday. But going forward from there, how does their how do their future matches look as far as where they're playing and what their odds are of feeling some of that climate-driven heat?
Yeah, so for LA, when I think LA is really interesting because we also just looked at trends for all the host cities, the 16 host cities, and 14 out of 16 have seen warming since 1970, which was when we had the first North American World Cup, except for 2, and it's the 2 stadiums in Los Angeles. So your trend line has basically stayed the same for June and July. But when you really dig into the days specifics, so that first match there in LA, a 32% chance of performance impairing heat, 8% of that has been added because of climate change. And then they move on, right? The next game is June 19th. It's in Seattle. So we know historically at this time of the year, Seattle could see some heat, but it's not highly likely. So there's only about a 3% chance that we might run into performance impairing heat as they play that second match there in Seattle against Australia.
Okay. So are there any teams that just kind of like have the worst luck as far as they have the best chance of facing the most, performance impairing heat?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to look at this. One, you got to think about the team and where they're from, right? So we saw the reports. I don't know if you saw them over the weekend. England is practicing in Miami, even though their first two games are in a climate-controlled stadium in Dallas. They're trying to play and practice in Miami so they can get acclimated. So I think the acclimatization part of this is really going to take a toll at the beginning of group play. But
real quick, so that's a strategic move by England, like intentionally wanting to be where it's warm. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. They're trying to get acclimated. And then I even saw like a couple different ways that they're trying to bring down their core temperature during these heat breaks and stuff too. So teams are trying, right? Because they know that the heat's going to be a big factor. That's basically a third opponent on the field for them. Groups F and Groups H, when you look, and if you go to the Climate Central website, you can look at all of the matches. You basically slice and dice it between teams, stadiums, matches, however you want to look at it. Looking at the tournament overview though, Group F and Group H. Those are the two, when you look at it, the squares are red. So they've got the biggest heat potential, and a lot of that's been added because of climate change as well.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about so there's this climate shift index, which really is a term that relates to a lot of what you've been talking about here. But so I believe Climate Central came up with the climate shift index, right? Can you explain that a little bit?
Right. Yeah, so this is that attribution science. So the way we do it here at Climate Central is the climate shift index. So essentially what we want to do is when you walk outside in LA and you think, oh, today doesn't quite feel like it's supposed to, we can put a fingerprint on climate change. We're not saying that this heat would have necessarily not occurred because that's the weather, but we want to understand how much more likely, how much more intense. So what we do is we basically run over 20 climate models and we put all the historical carbon emissions that we as humans have put into the atmosphere. And then we run those models again, but we take out that human piece. We take out that carbon emissions that we have put into the atmosphere, and you get a ratio. For the climate shift index, it's 0 to 5. Climate shift index of 4 would be essentially a temperature that would be rare if it weren't for climate change. If you get a climate shift index of 5, it's basically saying that that temperature would be almost impossible to occur in whatever location you're looking at whatever time of the year without climate change.
Gotcha. Okay, so I want to step a little bit back from specifically the World Cup, and I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier where you were saying as far as a lot of the cities you analyze, LA not necessarily feeling a big increase in temperatures over the last several decades, but that's why the term climate change, we use that a lot as opposed to global warming, because there are things that change with the climate. It's not always about getting hotter. And there's always the person that says so much for, global warming or climate change. It's not necessarily hotter where I am, but there are so many other parts of our climate that are affected, and it's not just about warmer temperatures right where you are.
Right. And it really comes, especially for these games, right? So we know that there's going to be a couple different things. It's not just the heat.
Yeah.
It's the humidity. We know that there's added humidity because our oceans are warmer. There's a pretty significant Pacific heat wave happening right now. Warmer oceans allow for more evaporation. So what that means is you're swimming in that humidity a little bit more if it's swinging your way. But it's also the reason we're seeing heavier downpours, more flooding events, bigger inland flooding events because of that added moisture. So if you think about North America, yes, we have a lot of heat and humidity in June and July, but then you got to talk about it's hurricane season. We do have a lot of humidity. This is the time of the year that we see a lot of flooding. So we know that there's going to be other aspects of weather that can either impact or even delay, if not even force us to punt some of our games because of the weather that we'll experience in North America over the next couple of months.
So we have a couple minutes here, and I feel like there's a natural transition here. Let's talk about this, going to the likely upcoming Super El Nino, as it's called, right? Where we should be heading in this direction. We know, it's almost a certainty, I would say, that there's going to be El Nino, but to the degree we expect it to be, should be on the strong side. So let's talk about what that means in general, and then we'll maybe localize it a little bit here in California. So explain this. I know you talk about it all the time. You might be a little more eloquent than I am as far as what the upcoming Super El Nino indicates.
Yeah, so, we're looking at those waters at the equatorial Pacific. We just came out of this La Nina phase during the winter months, so it's the reason that it was so warm in the West this past winter. It's the reason we had the worst snow drought of record in the West. So now we've rapidly starting to transition to El Nino, so warmer waters at the equatorial Pacific. And we know a couple different things. We know that it's going to impact the way the jet stream works, the way we move weather across the country. We also know that inherently it brings a little more extreme weather, and it raises the global temperature on its own because we're adding excess heat from the oceans and putting that into the atmosphere. The way I like to talk about El Nino, it's kind of like a cake. So your baseline temperature is the plate, climate change is the spongy cake part, and then global warming is El Nino is the frosting on top. So it's that little extra warmth. And I bring that up because the last El Nino we had was 2023, 2024. If that rings a bell weather-wise for you, 2024 was our hottest year of record globally. So it takes time for the El Nino to kick in, and it takes time to come back down. So we already know that with climate change and now moving towards this El Nino, right now it's looking like 2026 probably will land as one of the top 4 hottest years of record yet again for the Earth's record. And then we'll see what happens in 2027. But we've also seen our top 10 hottest years all occur in the 2010s or since the 2010s. So we know that climate change is the main role, but El Nino is going to make things a little hotter, which can also mean more extreme weather events when they do occur.
Yeah, and that El Nino, the 23-24 winter here locally in LA and Southern California, we had a lot of rain, and then the rain just shut off for 8 months or so leading up to when we had our fires. So there was all this vegetation that grew from the rain. It all completely dried out. We know what happened there in early 25 with our fires here. Okay, so So Shel, we've got another minute or two. I'm going to bring it back to the World Cup, and I'm just curious about if you're looking forward to it, if you're rooting for, I would assume USA. We all kind of hope they do well. Are there other teams you might be interested in this World Cup here?
Yeah, first of all, I don't know if you watched the match this past weekend with Team USA, like just crazy acrobatics that went along with it. Like it was just so much fun to watch. Yeah. So really looking forward for them. I got to tell you, I think, what was it? There were a World Cup, 2014, I think was a World Cup year. But I was
right. Yeah.
The point of this is I took a trip to Chicago.
Okay.
Big line of storms was about to blow in. We found the first place we could find to get inside, get some food. It was a bar, and everybody was dressed in orange. It was the Dutch. And they were like, "Who are you here to watch?" And I was like, "Who are you here to watch?" I'm here to watch whoever you're here to watch. So watching that match with folks, that made me, it just makes me appreciate the culture and the games and the love of the sport and just love of country. So ever since then, I'm going to say, if I got to go for a team, the Dutch have.
No, that's really cool. That's great to have that kind of experience, and then suddenly you're a fan and you had this bond with everyone you were with when you were there. Yeah, I mean, for me, USA, but my son is a fan of Germany. I'm not even sure why, but he's hoping Germany does well. We have 3 LAFC players that are on Team Canada, so I wouldn't mind seeing Canada do well. And then, of course, for me, it's Messi, Ronaldo. Like, those guys are just obviously legends, and who knows if this is their last World Cup? I suppose that's a possibility.
I actually got to go watch the Honduras-Argentina friendly this past week.
Oh, very cool.
Messi was there. He didn't play, but he was there.
But he was there, yeah. Okay, well, Shel, thank you so much for the info. We're very much looking forward to the World Cup. We'll see how the heat kind of slows things down a little bit. We know that likelihood is a little higher. Thank you. Have a great week. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and go Team USA.
Go Team USA, that's right. All right, that'll do it for us on the Fox Local Stream. We'll see you next time, and Marla will be back in this chair. I'll see you later.
I think that, like soccer, safety and security is a team sport. And so we do ask for the public's assistance in this effort. And if anyone sees any suspicious activity or potential criminal activity, please do report that to law enforcement. Again, the FBI's tip line is 1-800-CALL-FBI, as well as online at tips.fbi.gov. Thank you.
Is there anyone whose purview it is that talked with the mayor of why the cameras are coming back on? Seattle PD? She mentioned you guys and the FBI, so.
So the Seattle Police Department is supportive of Mayor Wilson's vision and direction with the surveillance cameras for FIFA. Regarding specifics as for rationale, I will refer you to the mayor.
Right, that is officials there in Seattle talking about the latest in security updates as we get closer to the World Cup. Hi, everyone. Mike Page here. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll be with you for the next hour as we continue to roll on. Want to give you a live look right now, right outside of Madison Square Garden. We are about 90 minutes away from tip-off Game 3, where the New York Knicks have a commanding 2-0 lead in the series against the Spurs. President Trump will be in attendance, and that means heightened security in and around MSG. For more, let's go out to Fox 5 New York coverage.
who is now live inside MSG with a preview of Game 3. A lot of security, Tina, but you made it in.
Yes, Natasha, we finally made it through security and into Madison Square Garden. And as much excitement that is going on all throughout New York City at those watch parties, you could feel the energy building in here in the Garden right now. The music is blasting. Most of the people here are media and, of course, staff with the Knicks and the Spurs. The Knicks bench is essentially who is warming up on the floor right now, but I already saw OG Anunoby, and he has his Timberlands on. Also, Natasha, I want to show you what each Knicks fan that is going to make it inside the Garden tonight and be at this game, what they're getting on their seats. We have these Knicks Finals rally towels. So we're going to have many moments where they're going to be, rallying with their towels. And look at these amazing T-shirts with the entire New York Knicks team on them, including head coach Mike Brown, Jalen Brunson right in the middle with his iconic scream. But really what this Game 3 tonight between the Knicks and Spurs is all about, it's for those New York Knicks to continue doing what they have done for 13 straight games. And that is to play team basketball, limit their mistakes, and also each player knowing their role, and then all of that adds up to a win. Here at Madison Square Garden yesterday, the Knicks held a practice right on that Larry O'Brien trophy, which is hand-painted center court. And the players were focused on one thing. They're not talking about being up 2-0 on the San Antonio Spurs. They are looking at the series like it is 0-0 for Game 3. They say they have to play better than both Games 1 and 2 despite those wins. Now, that has been the Knicks' mantra really all season long. Get better each night. And in the first NBA Finals game being played here at Madison Square Garden since 1999, these Knicks players, they are blocking out the distractions, who's in attendance, and instead focusing on how they could beat the Spurs again. Here are some of those Knicks players talking about all of this yesterday after practice.
Oh, just the fans, I know it's going to be crazy, they're always behind us, always rowdy and excited, and I know it's just going to be really cool.
We really don't, care too much about, the winning streak or anything like that, because, all that's in the past. I think we just, to us, is 0-0, and we just try to take it one game at a time.
The amount of love I've gotten from this fan base and from the city since day one. I think it's grown over the years, but I'm so thankful. I'm so honored to be able to put New York across my chest. Wouldn't trade that feeling for anything in the world.
A lot has been made about who is attending this game tonight. Do you know who's attending, Natasha? No, not that person. I'm talking about 5-time World Series champion Derek Jeter and 2-time Super Bowl champion Eli Manning. Maybe they can bring that championship vibe and pass it on to the New York Knicks. Tip-off is 8:30 p.m. Live inside the Garden, I'm Tina Cervasio. Now back to you.
Yes, we need all that good energy out there. Tina, thanks so much. And President Trump will be cheering on the Knicks at MSG tonight. It marks the first time a sitting president has attended the NBA Finals, which has also forced, as you can imagine, a major security perimeter spanning multiple blocks around the arena. Fox 9's Linda Schmidt is live outside one of those frozen zones. Linda, what can you tell us?
Well, there are a lot of people coming out here, Natasha, and the security, as you were just talking about right there, enhanced. In fact, over my shoulder here, you can see people are walking along 8th Avenue. We are at 33rd and 8th, and they have NYPD police barricades all along 8th Avenue. At some point, they are going to be stopping the traffic from traveling on 8th Avenue as well. They were going to stop vehicular traffic at about 4 o'clock, but so far that has not happened. But go ahead, take a look at this video here, because this is a map of the security perimeter, and it is quite broad. It goes from 30th Street on the west side all the way up to West 35th Street between 6th and 8th Avenues. And then 7th and 8th Avenues eventually, and again, this was supposed to start at 4 o'clock, but eventually it will be closed off to both vehicles and pedestrians. The only way that you can get into this area is if you show that you have a ticket to the game. You either have a train ticket, because New Jersey Transit, LIRR, and Amtrak all operate out of Penn Station, which is all part of where MSG is located. If you are going to a business here, like a restaurant or a bar, or you have credentials proving you have a right to be here. Now, the NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch holding a news conference earlier today with Secret Service, and here is some of what they had to say about the security preps here.
coordination with the United States Secret Service, there will unfortunately be no watch party outside of Madison Square Garden for Game 3 of the finals, and no access to the immediate vicinity of MSG without an authorized reason to be there. However, the mayor will be hosting a watch party nearby at Bryant Park, and MSG will be hosting 2 watch parties, one at Woolman Rink in Central Park and one at Brooklyn Bowl. We do expect watch parties to resume outside of the Garden for Game 4.
There will be enhanced law enforcement and security presence in and around Madison Square Garden. All attendees will pass through TSA-style magnetometer screening before entering the arena. I strongly encourage fans to arrive at MSG at least 2 hours before tip-off. There is a strict no-bag policy in place, and there will be no storage for prohibited items outside the venue. We do not want you to miss tip-off, so please leave backpacks, purses, handbags, briefcases, and other containers at home.
And by the way, there are literally hundreds of NYPD officers out here in this 5-block area and beyond. Natasha, back inside to you.
All right, Linda, thank you so much. And as you just saw Linda's live shot and that perimeter that is set up, trying to get around the Garden tonight is going to be nearly impossible. Police are telling anyone without a ticket to just stay away. But that's not sitting well with people trying to make their way home on the Long Island Railroad or NJ Transit. Lisa Evers continues our coverage tonight. She is live at a security checkpoint near MSG. Lisa, this is so very complicated.
Natasha, it's very complicated, and the complication factor was increased because of the short notice coming this morning. We've seen numerous commuters coming here. They're not wearing their Knicks gear, so they're dressed in business clothes coming here trying to get down the block to Penn Station, only to be told by the police officers that they cannot get down the block, that they have to walk all the way around to 35th Street or 30th Street and get over to Moynihan Station, which is off 8th Avenue between 8th and 9th. Very, very tough for them. They're not happy about it, but there's a lot of fans here. They started setting up this particular checkpoint. We're here at 33rd and 6th. Early this afternoon, there was a lot of people. Everything has been frozen for a while, which leads us to believe that they might have frozen the area in anticipation of the president's arrival, which typically happens with the Secret Service. The police officers, though, we have to tell you, do an amazing job because they're answering so many questions. And Natasha, the other thing that I saw was there was a warning not to take purses, and we saw a lot of women showing up here in their Knicks gear, not carrying any purses at all, which they were told not to bring into the Garden. But they're continuing with the security checks, and the fans are very, very patient. But that's the latest here from 33rd and 6th. Natasha, back to you.
That's a big one if you can't have your bags or your purses, but you do have to know that. Lisa, thanks so much. And fans without tickets for Game 3 can still cheer on the Knicks. Several watch parties are happening across the city. Fox 9's Jennifer Williams is live at Bryant Park, one of the prime locations for tonight's big game. Jen, are people starting to trickle in or find a good spot?
They're waiting outside. The doors for this watch party will open at 8 p.m. and the city providing Knicks fans with quite the assist, because once it was announced that there would no longer be a Game 3 watch party at the 33rd Street Plaza right outside of Madison Square Garden, this morning Mayor Zohran Mamdani tweeting that the city would be hosting a free watch party at Bryant Park tonight for 5,000 New Yorkers. Now, this is an outdoor venue that shows movies on the lawn and holds other similar events throughout the summer. Bryant Park closed at 3 p.m. to prepare for the festivities, and doors will open up to fans that were able to register at 8 p.m. Now, registration opened at noon, and as you can imagine, tonight's event is already at capacity.
This is wonderful. It's been a long time coming, people. But I love what's going on. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's in a great mood. The weather, everything is lining up. Let's see if they can win.
I've been a fan for pretty much my whole life. We've been horrible for so long, and it's great to see everyone come together.
Oh my God, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, just walking around wearing a Knicks jersey, it's like a total community out here. Like, I just graduated from school. I feel like I've met more people in the city than like all 4 years of college. It's just absolutely amazing.
Now, one fan everyone told me that this is the calm before the storm. And as you can see, there is definitely a police presence here already at Bryant Park. But look, fans just want to be able to watch this together. This is a great opportunity. The Knicks will be hosting their official watch parties at Woolman Rink in Central Park, as well as the Brooklyn Bowl. And again, fans just want to be together for this historic moment as the Knicks are just 2 shies away from their first championship in over 50 years. Natasha, I'll send it back to you in studio.
Very exciting. Jennifer Williams, thanks so much. We're going to have more on the Knicks' chase for a championship later.
All right, we will definitely keep an eye on New York City as we get closer to tip-off. You are watching live now from Fox. We'll take another 2-minute break. Welcome back, everyone, to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page, as we continue to roll on this evening. A live look right now at Capitol Hill. That is where we are going to keep you. Representative Jeffries earlier speaking to the media. Let's listen in.
But costs haven't gone down in the United States of America. Costs have gone up. Grocery prices are too high. Housing costs are too high. Healthcare costs are too high. Utility bills are too high. Gas prices are out of control. America is far too expensive. And Donald Trump hasn't made the situation better. He's made the situation worse. The Trump tariffs have increased costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. The Republican assault on the health care of the American people has caused health insurance costs to skyrocket. And at the same period of time, Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice in Iran has resulted in gas prices through the roof. America is far too expensive. There are far too many people in this country who are working hard, they're playing by the rules, but they're unable to thrive and they can barely survive. And that's not acceptable in the United States of America. So House Democrats are going to continue to fight to drive down the high cost of living and push back against the Republican efforts to make life more expensive. We believe that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people. Not give ICE another $70 billion blank check so they can unleash brutality on American citizens and violently target law-abiding immigrant communities. House Democrats will be a hard no on the reckless Republican budget reconciliation bill this week. Questions?
Are you willing to see the expiration of these authorities under FISA if Bill Pulte is still the acting DNI?
There were already challenges as it related to extending foreign surveillance authority, given the refusal by the Trump administration to put into place the type of common sense reforms that would be designed to both promote our national security interests on the one hand, and on the other, protect the privacy and civil liberties of the American people. The negotiations prior to Trump's announcement with respect to Bill Pulte were already in a very sensitive place. And then Donald Trump, as he often does, tosses a hand grenade into those sensitive negotiations by elevating Bill Pulte as a director of national intelligence, someone who's a political hack, a malignant clown, and he's woefully unqualified to serve in any position in the federal government, let alone as acting director of national intelligence.
So you'd let it expire? Would you let it expire?
There are ongoing conversations being led by Jim Himes, but clearly to get to good faith negotiations, the effort to elevate Bill Pulte as the acting director of national intelligence should be reversed immediately. And then let's see where we wind up at the end of the week.
What do you make of efforts by some House Republicans to impeach Judge Eleanor Ross of Georgia?
I have not closely followed those efforts, but listen, House Republicans have been a failure, a complete and total disaster. These people have done nothing to make life better for the American people. They just run around behaving like sycophants and wholly owned subsidiaries of the Trump cartel. Nothing but reckless rubber stamps for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. That's why Donald Trump is so deeply unpopular, and that's why House Republicans are on the brink of losing their majority in November, which is going to happen.
You are watching live now from Fox. Representative Jeffries speaking earlier there, and you can tell he is ready for the Knicks game that is coming up in just over an hour. Hi, everyone. Mike Page here as we continue to roll on. I want to give you another live look right now outside of Madison Square Garden. We will continue to follow the very latest from Game 3 in New York City. But when we come back here on Live Now from Fox, we are going to be talking about the busy summer travel season is upon us. We'll be breaking that all down with a live report from Phoenix, Arizona. We'll be back with more in just Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on. Next up, we want to talk about travel. It is now the summer travel season that is upon us, and you know that already, unfortunately, that the higher prices are happening with airline tickets. And then, of course, we all know it's costing more to fill up your car as well. But there is a new survey out there, according to travel website The Points Guy, saying that reason for the higher prices, both on air travel as well as high gas prices, it is not stopping Americans from staying home. So for more on this, let's go out right now to Phoenix's Sky Harbor International Airport. Joining right now, Fox News' Amalia Roy with a breakdown.
Hi, yes, it is not stopping people from traveling, even with these high prices. I mean, the energy here, I'm seeing it come in waves. People look vacation ready. I'm seeing signs of people happy to welcome loved ones back. I'm seeing what I assume are camps starting, because dozens of teens who looked very excited, they were chanting very excited. And now this poll, it shows that the demand for summer travel is rising year after year, even now with the rising airfare prices, with this uncertainty during the Iran war. Now, let's look closer at those numbers. 25% of respondents from that survey said that they are traveling more this year. Another 46% said they were traveling about the same, and 19% said they were traveling less.
The consumer has been really resilient when it comes to paying higher prices. Most Americans seem willing to pay those higher prices. However, I think we are close to a breaking point. So I think if prices continue to go up, that picture may start to change.
And that same poll seems to back that up. 32% said they'd consider canceling their travel plans if prices kept going up, and 33% said they would modify their plans, while 28% said they wouldn't change a thing. As for those changes, some would shorten their trips, others said they would swap destinations, some said that they would drive instead of fly. Clint Henderson from The Points Guy also shared some tips while busting a few myths about summer travel.
There's no truth to the idea of a magical booking time or day of the week. I will say, though, if you travel on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Saturday, you're generally going to pay less because there's less business travelers traveling during those periods. And so usually those are the cheapest days to actually travel. That's a general rule that does hold true. So the other thing I would say is monitor your prices. The great thing for American consumers is the U.S. airlines will give you a trip credit if the price of your trip drops between when you book it and when you fly.
Some more tips from Henderson. He said that having those Google alerts ready for price changes. Also, AI. There are tools online where you can have help sifting through all of those online offers, seeing what the best deal is. And then a lot of airlines, they are still offering packages where you can book things in bundle and find some deals that way. In Phoenix, Amalia Roy, Live Now from Fox.
Yeah, Amalia, I think there's still a pent-up demand to want to go to a vacation that I think it would still have to rise a lot for people to say, you know what, I'm just going to stay at home. People love their vacations, especially in the summertime.
Oh, they do. And especially, we talked about it a lot, about this, post-pandemic lockdown feeling. He said that it's, for the past 5 years now, year after year, the demand for travel's up, and people are wanting to go farther. They want to now explore these new places. And so he says that there are limits, as we heard earlier, that, if prices keep going up too much, there could be a problem. But that want is there, and people are finding ways to make it happen.
No doubt about it. Amalia Roy, always great to have you on. Thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox, live tonight in Phoenix. We appreciate it as always. All right, everyone, we'll take another 2-minute break. Stay right here with us. We'll get more updates right outside of Madison Square Garden ahead of Game 3 of the NBA Final. President Trump is on his way to the Garden. We'll be back with more on Live Now. Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Welcome back as we continue to bring you some of the latest top stories, live feeds from all over the country, keeping a live look here. I got Madison Square Garden right outside of the venue. We are just about 60 minutes away from tip-off Game 3 of the NBA Final, and New York Knicks have a commanding 2-0 lead right now in the series. And happening right now, President Trump is on his way to Madison Square Garden. We're getting some video right now from the press pool that is covering this. I know it's a little shaky right now, so we'll keep an eye on that as the motor pool continues to make its way to the Garden. We'll be tracking it all for you right here on Live Now from Fox. President Trump, of course, making history as he will be the first sitting president to attend an NBA final game. Let's go on some more of the coverage from Fox 5 New York as they get ready for the big moments that are going to be happening in New York City.
Jennifer Williams joins us from a watch party in Bryant Park. Jen, how pumped is the crowd out there?
You know, one fan told me earlier today that this is the calm before the storm. And actually, so this was capped at 5,000 fans. People registered quickly, and it was at capacity by, I would say, 3 p.m. That we talked to a few fans earlier today that were kind of bummed. They kind of lucked out. But, I mean, look, we were talking to people before they started letting fans in around the perimeter of Bryant Park, and it is just a sea of blue and orange throughout the city. Everybody's in a good mood. Everyone's hoping for Knicks in 4. We did hear a few Knicks in 4 chants. Now, apparently, a security guard told me earlier that the doors were supposed to open at 8 p.m. for fans, but you know Knicks fans, they can be a little persuasive, and everyone's in a good mood. So, you know, I'm expecting more people to kind of file in. I believe we were here a few years back for some of the Rangers watch parties when they were making kind of, you know, some playoff runs. So, I mean, again, it's just super cool. There are actually people in some of the buildings. I'll take some video with my phone and post it to social after, but there are some people on the balconies, kind of like surrounding the perimeter of Bryant Park. So that's a pretty cool seat, if I'd have to say so myself, to be able to watch the big screen from there. But yeah, no, it's just super cool. And it's a great option for people because we've talked about how expensive these tickets are ad nauseum. And for people who can't afford it or couldn't get their hands on one of those tickets, this is a great option because honestly, the theme that I heard from fans today is they just want to be together. And tonight's watch party was free for any New York Knicks fan.
That's awesome. And we should explain.
And any New Yorker.
Yeah.
Any New Yorker.
So Jen, explain to people why you're in Bryant Park instead of outside MSG, because you might be outside MSG on Wednesday for Game 4, but I guess due to security and the president coming, right, they had to lock it down.
Yeah. I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but even over the weekend we were talking in the newsroom and I was like, I don't know where I'll be because, you know, this became a huge news story once President Trump, it was announced that he would be attending Game 3. I have not gone south of 40th Street, but I have been kind of monitoring the situation on social media. Now, you know, everywhere broadcast-wise, it's an 8:30 start, but it's an 8:42 tip. We've seen events in the past like the U.S. Open where the match started later because fans weren't able to get to their seats in time. So I'm very curious to see what will happen tonight. But the one silver lining that this is a Game 3 and not a clincher. So as you mentioned before, the Knicks are still in a position to like bust out the brooms and complete the sweep, and that would be Wednesday for Game 4. So at least all this hoopla is not for Game 4.
Yes, I know.
But it is still making for. I mean, this is such a historic Game 3. But your guess is as good as mine. But I think that's why I'm here. But I love being with the fans and amongst the people. And I mean, we saw the video of the perimeter of MSG, and I mean, I've never seen MSG like that for an event.
Very high
but when the president comes to town, that's par for the.
All right, that is the coverage there from Fox 5 New York. I want to just break in right now and take you out live We are looking at the motorcade in New York City, and what a spectacle this is as we have streets that are shut down. You have people on the sidewalks trying to get a glimpse of the president and the motorcade heading to Madison Square Garden. And what a moment this is. President Trump going to be the first sitting president to attend an NBA final game, Game 3 for the New York Knicks, looking to go up 3-0 on the series and have just that commanding lead. And we have not seen the Knicks win it all in more than 50 years. So this is a generational moment for so many New Yorkers right now, and they are all taking part to catch a glimpse right now of this motorcade that is rolling through. Again, we are less than an hour away now from the game, and so much security has been beefed up because of the presence of the president that will be at the game. You have other celebrities, of course. They are always at the Garden, but what makes this unique, of course, that the president will be there, and he will be in a skybox suite to take in all of the action that will no doubt be happening at the Garden this evening. But again, just wanted to showcase this to you as we are getting closer now to tip-off, and the spectacle that continues right now in New York City on just a beautiful, beautiful evening, just past 7:35 local time, and everyone getting ready for all of the excitement that the New York Knicks going to bring for Game 3, and the Spurs hoping that they could crack into this lead and make it a 2-1 series. So we will, again, keep an eye on it all here for you right here on Live Now from Fox. Let's take another 2-minute break. We'll continue to check back in as President Trump gets closer to Madison Square Garden. We'll be back with more. Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page. Always great to be with you this evening as we get you ready for Game 3 of the NBA Final. It's a live look right now at Madison Square Garden. President Trump is about to walk in to the Garden. Take a look at just moments ago as the motorcade making its way to the Garden. What a moment this was to see not only the the heavy police presence, but of course, that presidential motorcade making its way in New York City. And soon we will see the president. He was actually waving to the cameras, to the crowd as well. And let's just pop up the audio here so you can get the full effect. There was the moment President Trump back in his home in New York City to watch Game 3 of the NBA Final. And again, bringing that moment here right to you on Live Now from Fox. Is President Trump going to be the first sitting president to watch an NBA Final in person here? Let's continue to go out right now to more of the coverage from Fox 5 New York as they are getting ready for this big game in New York City.
From 30th Street all the way up to 35th, and then it goes from 6th Avenue to 8th Avenue, and then they stopped even allowing vehicles and pedestrians on 7th and 8th Avenues, and that started, they blocked that off. It started about an hour ago. That was actually supposed to start at 4 o'clock this afternoon, but then they delayed it, and I think they actually implemented it just about an hour ago. So this is going to be a frozen zone until the president is out of town.
Linda, it's been my experience in reporting on his comings and goings that generally he doesn't stay for the whole sporting event. He usually stays for a portion of it and then leaves before all the fans leave or before the end of the game. But you know what? You just never know, right?
You never know with Donald Trump because you never know how long he's going to stay at an event, and you never know if he's going to talk or how long he's going to talk. It's usually not, you don't know if he's going to talk. It's how long is he going to talk. Wait a second. I have a little fan right here. Honey, where's your mommy or daddy? Are they around? Daddy?
Okay.
Hey, can we talk with her? Oh, okay. All right. What's your name?
Ziana.
Oh, what a beautiful name. So you're a big Knicks fan, right?